We are live. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone who joined our fireside chat today. Okay, I have music still.
I don't.
Yeah, hello, everyone who joined our fireside chat today. We are live, and it's a new project, or may I say, a new show brought to you by Internet Vikings, a premium European provider of hosting and related services. And the name of our chat is Expert Online, because from now on, every month, we're going to sit down with experts of Internet Vikings and talk about the issues in the field of their expertise. I'm no Joe Rogan, but I have this certainty that our quick chats will be interesting to watch and listen to. So give this broadcast a thumbs up and let's get started. Today, my guest is the Flying Dutchman, Key Account Management at Internet Vikings, Wesley Kock. Hello, Wesley.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you doing? Okay?
Yeah, thanks. I'm okay. How are you?
Yeah, doing very well. Doing very well today. Thank you.
That's great. Okay, I figured out what was causing the problem here, because like I have had my LinkedIn turned on, and that's caused like the double sound. But that's okay. Everything is okay now. I feel so relaxed right now. So hello once again, guys, and everyone, and Wesley. Good to have you with me today. Thank you for joining. We're going today to talk about a lot of stuff today. So are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely. We should have a few interesting topics to talk about today. So let's get started.
Yeah. So my first question, Wesley, like, why are you doing this? Like, why do you do what you do? Why do you what do you like about sales, and why do you a salesperson?
So the first thing about sales is it's a tough role within the company. It's I would say it's a tough role, but it's also very satisfying if we overachieve, we overdeliver. I think it's one of the roles where you do get a lot of satisfaction out of. Plus, we have the benefit of a lot of social contact. Obviously, we have a lot of social contact with our clients, in between the team, and there's a lot of internal trying to be the best always. So although it's competitive, but in a good and fun way, I would say. So that is what I really, really like about sales.
Yeah, great. So that's an interesting thing here. Like, so you have a little, or maybe not little, competition inside the team. So how do you deal with that?
Well, obviously, we always try to outpace each other. Always trying to make sure that if you come in second, you come in last, basically.
Yeah.
So obviously, we always have to do our best to make sure that we don't just deliver onto the expectation of our clients, but we want to overachieve. We want to deliver so that they are happy, and obviously that opens us up for a very good partnership down the line.
Yeah. So great to hear that. But like, what about Internet Vikings? Do you have like something special about sales culture at Internet Vikings? What do you like about being a salesperson at this company?
Yeah, as I mentioned, the team here is very competitive between each other. So it keeps on challenging. Everybody challenges each other, which is a very good thing to stay on top, and to always make sure that you don't lose focus. So I think that within this team, how they function between each other, I would say that we have a really great team sitting here. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Man, let's talk about more about the like global stuff. And every interview nowadays starts on the reflection on the pandemic. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts here, and what is your experience as a salesperson because of that? Like, how has your job changed? How has your pitching process changed, and all this stuff? So, what would you say?
How we pitch hasn't really changed all that much. The only thing that obviously changes now is that we don't sit in the same boardroom or whatever as the client. So it's normally you look them in the eyes. You have a really good understanding of how they're sitting, body language. So that is a little bit less now. But then again, technology has advanced quite far. So we do everything via video conferences nowadays. So I would not say that it is a humongous challenge. And I think that as a team here, we have quite well adapted to the new normal, and what is being perceived as normal nowadays. Obviously, we don't have big trade shows, we don't have big events going on right now. But to counteract that a little bit, we organize our own events, and I think that was an amazing step from the company's perspective, to start organizing our own events, to start sponsoring events, just to make sure that we're still, keeping in touch with the industry itself.
Yeah. So can you tell me more about what events have we organized, and like, can you share with our audience today as well?
Yeah, of course. So we started with paddle tournaments. We've done that in Q4 last year. We did the first edition of that. Turned out quite a big success. We had we had more people attending than we thought there were. But the beauty of it is we do everything outside. And beside it being outside, we do it within regulations, or at least before the full lockdown came in Malta, at least. So we still had a chance to socialize. And besides that, it's a sports event, and I think that is very valuable, because it is sports. People move; they're in the outside air, so it's a very good way to still get a little bit of exercise in.
Yeah,
and still do the social aspect as well. So I think in those terms, we made some really good decisions here. And obviously we've sponsored other events. We've sponsored some golf. So that has been really good. So yeah, I do think that was a very good move from our side.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of fun. Like, I wish I were there. But like, I think every place has its own differences, different events. Like, can you say that you have fully adapted to the new norm of COVID in your sales process? Like, I understand that the company have different or new approaches. What about you personally?
Yeah, of course. We are moving, well, from me personally, I'm moving more towards the modern day approach. So we don't use as much walking into people on the street, for example, or picking up a phone and do some cold calling. Nowadays, it's more engaging over social platforms, and it also has to do a lot with outreach, and doing events. As I just said, I think that is a big driver.
Yeah, cool. Cool. Thanks, man. So let's talk a little about the market entries. So Internet Vikings has opened a data center in Singapore, launched a cloud hosting platform in Malta. There was a webinar about entering the US, and we have like a person who is like the head of our US expansion, Yelena. That's a pretty diverse set of directions, a diverse set of markets. Is there a primary one?
The primary market, I would say, is wherever our clients take us. I mean, we don't build data centers just to have data centers. We build them to accommodate to wherever the client wants to go. So if the client wants to go into a completely new market, and they knock on our door and they're like, hey, we want to go there. We basically try to do a hand-in-hand partnership. And if they want to go into a very specific market, then we cater to that. So to say that we have a primary market, no.
Mm-hmm. So,
but we do take on. Yeah, I would define it like that.
So can you tell me more specifically about those and like the issues with those markets? For example, Malta. What's the significance or something interesting about the launching of new data center in Malta? Why is it important?
Well, Malta, for example, is very important because it opens up the door for being fully MGA licensed, which for both suppliers and operators is very important. They all need to have a server here, so why not open one here? So that happened in Malta. If we look at, for example, market entries, what else is coming up? Germany, the Netherlands, for example.
Okay.
The Netherlands is going to have the same sort of regulations where you need to have physical data vault in that country. So if our clients want to go there, we'll build it. And I think that is, it's very valuable to add that. And for our clients to know that if they want to go into a specific market, that with us, they'll be fully compliant. So I think that is what keeps us ahead.
Okay. As for you personally, what is the market you try to be focused on? Is there anything specific?
Yeah, for me, it's very, very easy to focus on Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, because I speak the language. So
you speak a little bit all those languages. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I speak all those languages.
Really, French too?
Sorry?
And French too?
No, a little bit. My French is not that great, to be fair.
Yeah.
But Dutch, German.
Yeah.
So yeah, the focus on those markets. Why? Because I have a little bit more in-depth knowledge. I mean, I come from the Netherlands, so obviously there's a strong connection to the German market. And for me to understand and to read the re-regulations is a little bit easier. For me to contact regulators and to make sure that we're on par with what is happening. So I do think that is very important, that we have people with a very deep understanding of a specific market and who understand the market. And ideally, obviously, in this case, I'm native to the market. So that brings a whole new perspective of how we can approach the market together with the client.
Yeah, great. So can you share like your thoughts about the specifics of operating on those markets like Netherlands, Germany, like maybe your insights, your thoughts about those?
On the Dutch and the German market, it's let's just say that it's not being made really easy there. I mean, in Germany, for example, we know that the re-regulations are still in place. So they're adding more and more regulations. So there's more stuff that we need to adhere to, even as a supplier like Internet Vikings. It's very easy to perceive us as, okay, well, we just provide them, with a data center and a setup, and that's it. But it's not always that easy. We need to be on top of what is happening there, because we also need to think about what it is exactly that the client needs, and what it is exactly that we need to be compliant of, just to make sure that we obviously are compliant, so the client is as well. So from my perspective, I would say that both the German and Dutch market are not the easiest, but they are very interesting. I follow both markets quite closely. We're speaking to a lot of people there. locally to make sure that or at least that I know what's going on, and I translate that into actionable items for the rest of the team.
Yeah, sure. Sounds really great and interesting. But let's talk about United States. It seems like it's a very hot topic nowadays. And the thing is, yeah. So as I mentioned before, Internet Vikings has a dedicated person or let I say a team who is working towards entering that market. And soon enough, we're going to conduct Internet Vikings going to conduct another webinar with Max Schrems about privacy shield invalidation and data transfers and privacy protection and all this stuff. My question is this: do you feel like that industry knows and cares about this stuff?
I think that the industry as a whole, they care. Absolutely. If you look at end users, for example, especially here in Europe, they start caring more and more about what is happening with their data. They care more about what is happening with their privacy. So I think that it's good that we talk about it, and we should keep talking about it, because why not educate each other? The more we can talk about it and learn from each other about what is happening exactly, the more educated we can go into a specific market, and the more of a tailored solution we can offer for that. For example, if you take the US as an example, the US is going to be very interesting because specifically if you look at data protection, in the US, obviously it's way different than it is here. They don't have GDPR laws and what have you. So looking at that, how is that going to develop? Will they eventually move towards such regulations? We don't know yet. We need to wait a couple of years and see how per state it develops, and as a whole country how it develops. Maybe they will get federal regulations on it. We don't know yet. And I think that, as you mentioned, the upcoming webinar with Max Schrems himself, obviously they will touch on that. And I think that is going to be, it's going to be quite an eye opener for on a lot of topics.
My anticipation is the same. So, and I have a couple more questions here for you about this topic. But before I ask them, I would like to say to our audience who are watching us right now. So you are free to ask. Feel free to ask questions in the comments via or under the post that if you're or on LinkedIn or in YouTube, either channel, we will see your comments. So if you have questions, please ask them, and we'll discuss them in a couple of minutes. So, and I want to ask you this: why do you think, or why Internet Vikings are talking about this Max Schrems thing so much? So we're like, as my impression is that we're talking about that a lot, so we had several events dedicated to that, and we have we are creating a white paper about that. So why is it so important? Why do we talk a lot about that?
Importance is education. The importance is knowing what happens with your data. Where is it being stored? Who has access to it? Where can it be transferred to? If you go with with a non-EU data center provider, where is your data being stored? Is it being kept here in Europe? Does it go overseas? If it goes overseas, what does happen to it? So I do think that this topic is incredibly important to keep talking about until we all fully understand what is happening with the data that we store. So is the data being stored overseas handled the same as it's being done here in Europe? No, it isn't. There's a humongous difference. And I think that over the long run, as I mentioned, it's a part of education. And I think that is super important, that everybody knows what they're up against, what they can expect, so that we level the playing field. And once more, as a European provider, I think that we're a step ahead, because we do guarantee that GDPR, because we fall under the laws here. So, as I mentioned, this is one of the reasons why we want to keep pressing on this subject so much. It's because of educational purposes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it sounds like it is very relevant and a pressing issue for iGaming operators, like
Absolutely.
data protection and personal data protection, privacy protection, something that they should care about deeply. So yeah, we expect a lot of people to attend our webinar. So my last question in this regard, so maybe it's a little weird, but anyways, has this issue, that ruling, or like Schrems 2 ruling, in any way affected your job? So how did it, maybe it influenced it somehow, and you changed your approaches when you're talking with people about hosting, for example?
Yeah, of course. It has changed a lot, because it's always a door opener. We can always talk about this. Specifically if we go after potential new clients or whatever, are they aware? Do they know what is happening with non-EU providers? Do they know what's happening with their data? Do they know where it goes? So it's a very interesting topic also to be talking about with them. Again, it opens the door for us to have a conversation about hosting, and to tell them a little bit more about our solutions, to tell them a little bit about how we handle data. So I do think that the more it is getting spoken of, the better it is for me, of course.
Yeah, sure. Yes, so people should know about it, for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. I 100% agree.
Yeah. Okay. We have any questions from our listeners? So far, I cannot see any, but maybe someone will ask something. And by the way, like Wesley, thanks for your insights. It was
Absolutely.
a pleasure. Yeah, to talk.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a good chat.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, and I want to say that it's a pilot version of our chat, and will become better and better. And and I think this is not the last time when you're joining our chat, and we're discussing this stuff. It was very interesting. So the last chance for our listeners to ask the question, if we have any. I don't think we have any, but just a second. Well, that's okay. That's okay. I think I covered all of it. I asked enough questions of you, man. So thank you for your answers, and it was a great time. Thank you, thank you, listeners. Stay tuned for more classic content from Internet Vikings, and don't forget to register to our upcoming webinar with Max Schrems. You can find the link under this post in every channel that you are following us, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever. And take care, everybody. Thank you for being with us today. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
While others are talking about Schrems 2 ruling, we are talking with Max Schrems himself. On April 28th, 1530 Central European Time, Internet Vikings, in collaboration with Home Security, is conducting a free webinar, The New Era of Transferring Data, live with Max Schrems. Register now with the link in the description.